Good day and welcome to the Mr. Magazine interview. I'm honored today to have as my guest Mr. Gary Perisher, who is the founder and president of Cheeriodicals, a new concept in magazine distribution. In fact, I will go on a limb and say it may be the only unique concept that I have heard in many years about how can we achieve doing something good and at the same time distribute a lot of magazines. So, Mr. Perisher, it's nice to have you here on the Mr. Magazine interview.
Thank you.
Would you please tell our audience a little bit about what's Cheeriodicals?
That's a good question. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to come meet with you. You have an awesome name, Mr. Magazine, which fits in perfectly with what we do. So we started this business concept as just an idea mostly for an uncle who was in the hospital, and we wanted to send him a hospital gift. And instead of sending flowers and some of the usual gifts, we wanted to send something a little more personal. And we knew he liked fishing, so we called the hospital gift shop and asked, can we send some fishing magazines up to Uncle Burke? He's in room 200. And they said, well, we would, except for two reasons. Number one, we don't have fishing magazines in our gift shop. In fact, we have very few magazines. And number two, we don't deliver anything to patient rooms. So with that as a backdrop, we thought, there's got to be a business that delivers magazines of a person's interest to their hospital room. And so after some research, we realized that business did not exist. And so that's where we started the idea, which really started as a hospital gift concept, but then it led to many new directions.
Tell me a little bit about the name. I mean, how did you come up with such a name like, Cheeriodicals?
So let's thank our branding team. We found just a top-notch branding team in Birmingham, Alabama, where we're based. And we wanted to come up with the kind of name that really focused on spreading cheer, because if our core concept was to be able to bring cheer to people in the hospital or people who need a lift in their spirits, we loved the thought of cheer being a part of that concept. But we thought periodicals, meaning magazines and maybe even books at some point, were going to be a core part of what we showcase. We thought Cheeriodicals is the combination of our two core elements, and that's where we came up with the name.
How does it work?
So it works on lots of levels. When you're asking this question 2.5 years after we launched the business, we have several new markets that we didn't necessarily consider at first. So the first market was this market of hospital gifts. Can we send someone in the hospital a gift box of magazines along with some edibles and other consumer items, something to cheer them up? And so that was the first market. And we realized that if you can cheer someone up in the hospital, then there are other areas you can cheer a person up. And so basically, instead of sending flowers as a hospital gift, you can send a Cheeriodical. And then we realized, well, if hospital gifts are a good start, maybe there are other markets, and it could be anniversary, it could be birthday, it could be housewarming, and you name it.
I mean, it's amazing just to think of the idea of like you're combining being cheery, being of good cheer, and periodicals.
Yeah.
And, it goes without saying. I mean, I am a magazine passionista. I mean, I love magazines, and anybody who's doing anything with magazines become a good friend of mine.
Right.
So tell me how the concept works. I mean, do I call you and say,
sure,
okay, Gary, my uncle is sick, send him a box of magazines, or how does it work?
So we're in a world where we make it easy, and you come to our website at Periodicals.com. And just like going to Winning Under Flowers or FTD or any of these other websites where you would choose a gift, you come to our site. And if your uncle is a fan of golf, fishing, hunting, those three are the main hobbies your uncle has. You come to our site, you choose magazines that fulfill those interests. It may be golf magazine, it may be any of the hunting and fishing magazines. You combine those into a gift box all online. And then you choose the edibles, the different eats that might be a choice for each Cheeriodical, or you choose other consumer items to add to this box. And then you just go through checkout, and you have the great ability, which is something that magazines lend an opportunity, is to be personal. And so when you check out with our online system, you can even download a color photo on your gift card and even your own personal message on that gift card. That way your gift becomes very personal, and from the person who receives it, it means you cared enough to do something that took a little time and took a little effort.
How fast can you I mean, I know we live in a digital age, but you are in the business of delivering real goods, tangible magazines. So does my uncle have to be in the hospital for a week before he gets his Cheeriodicals?
Well, thank God that's not the case. So it's a good question, and part of the premise of the business, and we felt like was the gap in the present magazine market, was if you send a magazine gift in today's market prior to Cheeriodicals, what you were doing was sending a subscription to a gift, and then you would get a subscription card within a few days, and your gift arrives in 6 or 7 weeks. In the case for your uncle who's in hospital, he needs a gift tomorrow. He needs a gift in 2 days. So when you go to our site, we can have that gift box, that Cheeriodical delivered to your uncle in the hospital within 1 to 3 days, depending on where they live and depending on your need to get that gift there. It can be sent next day or.
How many magazine titles you have access to, or how do you have the access to the magazines?
So we work with one of the large wholesalers, and we have an inventory of magazines that are basically detailed on our site. We have approximately 200 magazines in our inventory. We have all current issues, and we have a pretty good feel for what the choices are across our spectrum of gifts, and we're able to keep those magazines in stock. If for some reason we run a little short, we can always find a retailer to pick up magazines if need be.
I mean, I know hospitals is a great way. I mean, there's a lot of hospital beds in this country. Can you go into more details how the program of Cheeriodicals? I mean, I know there's the hospitals, I know there's corporate, there's individual gifts, there's children's hospitals. Can you explain and maybe show us some of the...
Sure. So I'll be glad to show you some, and I guess before I even go to show you some of the products we have, it's really good to think about the different markets, because as we had this idea and concept on the back of a napkin 3 years ago, that first market for us was the hospital market. Keeping in mind that in the United States, there are 36 million individual hospitalizations per year. So in our perspective, that means 36 million chances for a person to receive a Cheeriodical, which is really the perfect gift for a hospital patient compared to what else is out there. So we realized that was a first market, but we realized a Cheeriodical is great for lots of other occasions. And so when you look at the online gifts market, the 1-800-Flowers, ProFlowers, and those type companies, there are billions of dollars spent per year to send gifts way beyond hospital gifts, meaning anniversary gifts, birthday gifts, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's. You rattle off all the different opportunities, and we believe a Cheeriodical is a great way to have that printed magazine fit into that new market. So that's a big market, but I think you brought up maybe even larger market is corporate gifts. So in the United States, as of 2011 data, there were $25 billion spent on corporate gifts in that year. And about 27% of those corporate gift purchases were made online, that are gifts for customers, clients, employees. And so at this point, a subscription might be a good gift for some of those, and I'm sure it probably is sometimes. But instead, employers are thinking, employers and companies that are trying to have gifts for corporate clients, they want to give them a gift that's affordable, but it also is very personal. And they actually use the word in the industry, emotionally extravagant, meaning a gift that a person believes the company that is sending me this gift actually cares enough to know my interest. And you know this better than anyone, magazines show that you know someone's interest, meaning you know their hobbies. Mm-hmm. And so we can provide corporate gifts in a price range of $50 to $75, which is what they would spend for most of the gifts they send, or even more, and we can give something much more personal. So that's the corporate market. Additional market that we have kind of moved ourselves toward because of demand is children's hospitals. So in the children's hospital space, you have over 200 hospitals in the United States that are solely children's hospitals. And in those, they'll have anywhere from 100 to maybe 5, even 600 patients. And all these children need to have something to cheer them up and make them feel better in their room. And so we worked in close coordination with Children's of Alabama Hospital to actually develop a Cheeriodical that not only has children's magazines that what the right ones are that they would like, but we also fill those boxes with toys and playthings for the room, something to make their room feel a little more at home. And so as we realized, we gave some of the first Cheeriodicals to children as people visit our site and sent those gifts. My own personal thought is, why can we not give a gift to every child in the hospital on a given day? And so with that as a backdrop, we went to corporate sponsors and said, instead of you doing what you have done in the past, which is a great thing. You have your arm around a cardboard check and you talk about what you've done as goodwill and give back. But what the person sees is the perception of you with the arm around a cardboard check, and the next day it's another arm around another cardboard check. And then what you have done as your give back becomes missed. And what I suggested is work with us, sponsor a day where we deliver a gift box for every child, and you get to be there to hand out that gift box to the child and see the reaction and the change in that child's face. And then your gift back becomes real. So those are several of the markets we moved into.
I mean, it's still, I mean, I'm really amazed. And of course, you know, being the magazine person I'm just like counting how many single copy issues we are going to like sell or deliver over all these different concepts. What has been the biggest challenge that you faced in those 2.5 years?
You know, I think the biggest challenge we faced is building presence on the internet, meaning how does the average person across the country find you and recognize that you have a gift product? For us, once a person sees our product, and we'll go through some of these and open them, you know, they love it and it's a very personal gift. But how do you get that person across the country to realize you exist? That's a very difficult struggle. And everyone understands SEO and how you have to spend money and do lots of things to build your presence on the web is really difficult. So for us, it's been the biggest challenge.
And what has been the biggest pleasant surprise?
You know, without question, the impact in children's hospitals. You know, I have had the pleasure, and it's an incredible pleasure, to be you know, one of the people standing there with that gift box, and not just a gift box, with 200, 300, and to look outside the hallways of the hospital and see the children lining up to come get their gift box. And when you see a child walk in with their families, and that child and that family is just trying to find a way to get to the next day, and you open up a gift box and the child looks inside and sees what's inside as a total surprise, that made everything we've done in our lives to start this company worth it.
That's good. Let's go ahead and open some of the boxes you brought as samples. That
wonderful.
To see if we can get the same feel that. So here's the corporate.
Yeah. So this is the and as we talked about earlier, there's quite a few markets. This first gift should give you a feel for how it would feel to be an individual receiving a gift box. So I'm going to open this, and it comes in a beautifully wrapped, almost gift wrapped box wrapping. And one of the things that I really wanted to showcase is that, and we'll talk about this box in a little detail, the box itself is Tiffany's-like. It's a really nice box, because from our standpoint, we wanted this gift box to be more than the delivery of magazines. We wanted it to be a box that's a keepsake, so that after this gift is enjoyed, the magazines have been read, the eats have been eaten, someone would save this gift box with some of their mementos, and that sells our brand in our absence. And one of the things that we do, and we talked about this earlier, is at our website you have the ability to download your own personal message and a color photo directly on our website. Because then the gift becomes personal. That means that you cared enough to do something very personal. And what happens with these cards is when people receive these cards, they're stored and saved somewhere, because you would never throw this card away. And so we wanted it to feel like a gift box that you have to unwrap. So actually, I will hold this, slide this off. If you'll Samir pull from that side, we will see what it looks like inside the box. And so, because we feel like the magazines are a core part of this gift, we wanted the magazines to be wrapped. And part of the branding of this product is to have several layers of the product. So when you open your gift, you have a box you have to unwrap, you have a photo card on the front, you have another card which really talks about me time. Because, and I think, Samir, you probably understand this better than anyone.
I love that. I mean,
it's about how it feels to have these magazines in your hand.
I love that. This gift box contains pure me time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm going to guess it's magazines in there.
Yeah, so these are the magazines. And so someone on my staff put this together, so I have no clue what's inside. But we will assume that it's some really good magazines.
You have,
And so this would be, I'm sure, one
most
of the
recent,
ladies' boxes.
And there are most recent issues. I mean, this is like the September issues of Glamour, House Beautiful, Oprah, and Cooking Light.
That's right. And this goes back to our point earlier about having current issues in stock, and we have all we need and more. And so the person gets their magazines as their first element in this gift. And then as they're online checking out, they can choose whatever other items they'd like to add to this gift box to complete it. And so we have Bath & Body Works products, we have Williams-Sonoma, we have lots of local eats type products, and we can even put very personalized things in like candies and so on inside this gift box.
Wow.
And then you have a gift box that has a way to reach a person in many different ways, not just sight, vision, smell, taste, all those things, because ultimately it's about the senses, and that's what we hopefully believe this product does.
And it sure beats getting a few flowers that you wonder what to do with the next day.
Of course. And I think we're certainly not trying to take a smack at flowers, because flowers are great gifts. But when someone receives flowers, that means there is also an opportunity they'll have 6 or 7 or 8 or other numbers of flowers around. And if someone sends this, who do you think is going to be remembered? Right?
Well, I mean, you get me intrigued enough. Like, can we open another box?
Of course.
And I want to keep the children's box to the end, because I'm very intrigued to see like what's in there.
Yeah, I certainly will. And I want to ask you, Samir, I want you to lift this box and tell me what you think about the weight and the feel of that box.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really. I mean, I'm surprised that nobody had thought about that before.
That's a good question. I probably would say the question I get most of all is, why has someone not done this before? And I think it's an important question. I believe the biggest reason that we have this idea was because we were not in the magazine industry. Prior to starting this business, I spent 22 years in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, working with families who had genetic diseases and cancer and other types of really life-threatening diseases. And my business partner was a corporate attorney. And so again, it goes back to just having a thought. And sometimes when you're deeply ingrained in the industry, you can't see some of the other opportunities. And since we weren't in the industry, it became a very simple thing for us to see this.
Well, that's one of the things I always say, like, innovators can be renovators. And
right.
I mean, you can't innovate if you are so busy renovating. So, I mean, I think this is, again, I mean, one of the most innovative ideas I've seen in terms of distributing magazines and distributing magazines as we know them. I mean, ink on paper magazines.
Yeah, and I think there's one other element that I should mention here. So with each of the gift boxes, when you go online to order and you choose your magazines and you choose your edibles, one of the last prompts in the checkout process is, would you like to add a subscription to your gift box? Because one of the things that confuses people sometimes is the box is a gift box of current issue magazines. But are we leaving out something on the table by not having a subscription? Because when most people are going through checkout, if they have the opportunity to say, well, I can spend $50 on this gift box and I can add a subscription for $12, now my gift not only has an action tomorrow when they receive it, but for the following months, every time they get that subscription as a function of this gift, then that makes this gift last longer, and for the obviously for the publishers, it's a great way for them to reach new markets. I
tell you, you may end up being the most loved man in the magazine industry.
It's good to be loved somewhere, right? All right, so Samir, to your point of corporate gifts, we actually feel like this market has as much potential and maybe more than the individual consumer, because people in corporate businesses are looking for ways to send innovative gift products at an affordable price. And this is just one of our companies we work with quite a bit, Regions. Actually, Regions Bank is sponsoring their first Cheeriodicals event at Children's of Alabama on November 7th. They're supplying a gift box to 350 children. So we work with Regions, and this is an example of a gift box that they would send out to one of their clients, customers, or someone they're trying to recruit, you name it, put their logo on here and their own message. Now for Regions, of course, it was nice because their coloring matches ours, so it looks like we're doing this in the basement of Regions Bank. Yeah. So we'll take this off, I'll let you hold. We have a snug fit here. I'll slide it off this way, off the front is the best way. And so let's see how this would look. Again, my crack staff has done this. So again, same thing, the magazines are custom wrapped with a message, personal. And then we even have other messages in here. And this is something, Samir, I think you will like. You may have seen this verbiage before.
We believe magazines make the best gifts. They awaken our imaginations, ignite our passions, and engage our minds. They have mass appeal, a personal touch, and the remarkable ability to please the hard to please. Magazines make our plane rides shorter, our Sunday afternoons lazier, and our sick days brighter. Here's to gifts that make things better. Indeed.
Wonderful. So you can see some of the items we have inside the box, and we'll make sure that we do have a few magazines in here. And as you may guess, we have a few business magazines in here.
Okay.
These are ones we have in our normal inventory.
Yeah, there.
And as a thought on the corporate gifts, it is very normal for us as we work with some of these corporate customers, we'll even include their own branded magazines because they're trying to very tactfully showcase their brand, and so you put their branded magazine in with the others. It's a nice fit.
Okay.
We can even put their own items inside the box. Regents likes to give these out to children, but we just put it in here as an example of something we could do to extend their brand inside our box.
Well, before we run out of time, I would like to see, we kept the best for last, so
Sure.
let's get a look at the children's
All right.
gift box and see what's in it.
So I do agree with you. I think this is the very best because this is the part that changes lives, we believe, and it's a great way to extend the magazine from the shelves straight into the room of the patient. And so with us, when we realized we had a very strong market in the hospital gifts market, we partnered with, let's see what this says, we partnered with Children's of Alabama, really nice hospital in Birmingham, where we're located, to actually develop a gift box that's perfect for a child. And so, of course, we knew the right magazines to put in these gift boxes. And the gift boxes are by age. So you'll have, infants, 3 to 7, 8 to 12, and teenagers, boy and girl. And so we have magazines that fit their interests, but we partnered with Children's of Alabama to have them direct us to put what else in the box is the right idea for children. And they said, we don't want eats, we don't want foods of any type, we want things that they can play with in their room, toys to make their room feel more at home, something to take their mind off what they're going through. And that was obviously the right answer. So we actually partnered with their team, their occupational therapy and rehab team and so on to help choose items that would not only give them something to play with, but things that would get them out of their bed, like a bouncy ball that bounces crooked. So they have to get out of their bed and find the ball. So there's a lot of psychology behind the box. And then we did extend this idea on to corporate sponsors, which I think has been the most beautiful thing we've done, is instead of us being in a situation where only the people and the families and loved ones who can afford a $50 gift box can actually send this to their child, we partner with national sponsors like Northwestern Mutual to come in and say they actually pay us to provide a gift box for every child in the hospital on a given day. So on a day like this, we actually arrive at the hospital with hundreds of boxes, one for every child, and then Northwestern Mutual or Regions or any of these other sponsors, they actually are there with us to hand out the gift boxes and have that personal feel of giving the box to the child. So let's take off this ribbon and let's see what's inside this box. So this is apparently one of the young girl boxes. I would guess from 3 to 7. And so in these boxes, we partner with Disney and Discovery Girl and lots of others to put together magazines that are perfect for children. And then inside the box are just a box full of items that a child would like based upon their age and gender.
It's amazing.
Now, for us, nothing has the feel that when you see the child open this box. And if you go to our website and to our Facebook page, you will see hundreds of photos of children opening these gift boxes. And we even have before and afters. We'll have a child, and by the way, these are not staged photos. Often these are families taking a picture of their child, and they submit them to our Facebook page so they can show their child opening the box. And we have hundreds of photos, and everything we do, nothing is close to how it feels to be a part of this, because you're basically using magazines in this delivery mechanism to light up a child who's really searching for something, and often it's the parents. We actually, for the children's boxes on the infant age, since there really aren't great magazines for those children, we put together relationships with local publishers. And so we do the event at St. Jude. When we did the event at St. Jude last year, we worked with Memphis Magazine and At Home Tennessee to have their magazines in the boxes for the families to read. Mm-hmm. Because we want to give something, this box should have something for the parents too, because the parents are struggling. Mm-hmm. So in other words, it's just a great way for us to be able to, coordinate across a lot of different markets to bring in something that's going to light up a whole children's hospital full of kids.
Gary, I want to thank you for taking the time and coming and visiting with me here at the Magazine Innovation Center. It's a great, innovative idea. I hope to hear more about Cheeriodicals. And anybody who have any questions about Cheeriodicals, please visit Cheeriodicals.com.
Yes.
And until next time, have a great day.